gripped me by the shoulders and he said, I know. He said, but I'm not hot now, but I love you in my own way. And I was glad I said it, and glad that it had been received in popular or warm, friendly way. I thought we might be friends for the rest of our lives. But then one day he came to me that he'd been bothered by finding a lump in his groin, and he was worried. I'd have a look at it. And I looked at it and I felt it, and it was hard and tethered. It turned out to be a particularly malignant form of lymphotumor. It's called a lymphosarcoma.
Oh, wow.
And he never spoke to me again after that. I don't know whether, since I'd been the first to recognize the ominous import, I don't know whether he saw me as a harbinger of death, a messenger of death, whatever.
But you were left with that silence.
Yeah.
A few years later, Oliver met a man named Mel. He was young, he was a sailor. Like Oliver, he was a weightlifter. They became close friends, and they began living together.
I adored him and was in love with him and loved physical contact with him.
And they'd work out, and they'd wrestle and ride motorcycles kind of tightly, and they never talked about what might or might not be happening between them. But one day, they were together, and Oliver was giving Mel a back massage, which Mel often asked him to do.
And I loved doing that.
And Oliver says sometimes he'd get a little, excited.
And so long as I gave no explicit indication, it was okay. But one day, things went a bit too far, and I got I went over the brink instead of just before the brink. Mel immediately sort of got up and had a shower and said, I can't stay with you anymore. And I found that very poor and upsetting and heartbreaking, and it made me feel I don't want to have anything to do with people. I mustn't fall in love. I cannot share lives with anyone again.
And he didn't share his life with anyone for a long, long time. In fact, he told me a story about something that happened with him maybe 8 years ago.
I was just joining the faculty at Columbia, and I was having a sort of an interview. And at one point, the interviewer said to me, she said, I have something rather private to ask you. Would you like Miss Edgar, your assistant, to leave? And I said, no, she's privy to all my affairs. And I then said, thinking she was going to ask me about sex, I said, I haven't had any sex for 35 years. In fact, she was going to ask me my social security number. and she burst into laughter. She said, oh, you poor thing. She said, we must do something about it.
Well, the truth is Oliver didn't do anything about it because he didn't think he could. I mean, he'd chosen Richard, lost Richard, chosen Mel, lost Mel. What was the point, he was thinking? And then, finally, and who knows when or why these things happen to people, but a man came along who, for the first time, chose Oliver.
I had met Billy as I meet a number of people because I've been sent a manuscript or proof for a book, and an intimacy grew between us. I don't think I quite realized how deep it was, but there was a particular episode in Christmas of '09 when he came up, and in the sort of serious way he has, a serious, careful way, he said, I've conceived a deep love for you.
I have conceived a deep love for you.
Yeah.
That is sort of that's like got a few extra words. I have conceived a deep love for you.
Yeah. Okay.
Was he scared to say I love you?
No, he likes the English language. And I think it couldn't have been put more cautiously and yet more strongly. I think it was a beautiful way of putting it. And then I realized at that moment, with his saying that I had conceived a deep love for him. And among other things, I thought, good God, it's happened again. And I'm in my 77th year. And what next? And things basically have gone happily ever since. surprisingly guiltlessly. Because then again, I'm not dealing with a lot. I'm dealing with a woman. I'm dealing with an individual. I'm not dealing with a condition defined by medicine or law.
I want to do one last thing before we close. And this comes from yet another conversation I had with him. And it's a story I know Oliver would hate because he's not a capital R religious kind of guy. But he is somebody who definitely embraces mystery. And for a long time, he's been mystified by a color called indigo.
Indigo, which Newton had inserted between blue and violet. And no two people seem to agree as to what indigo was like. And so I built up a sort of chemical launch pad.
Meaning he took a lot of drugs.
Base of amphetamine for general arousal, then some acid and a little cannabis. And when I was sufficiently stoned, I said, I want to see indigo now. As if it were reply, and as if thrown by a giant paintbrush, there appeared a huge, trembling, pear-shaped blob of what I instantly realized was pure indigo on the white wall in front of me. It had a wonderful luminosity, and in particular, although I'm not a religious person, I thought this is the color of heaven. And I leant towards it in a sort of ecstasy, and then it suddenly disappeared.
And he says he had one more moment. And this time, no drugs. He was in a museum staring at an Egyptian artifact. He sees this green
Had a flashback. That's when he had a flashback.
Of radiant, ineffable beauty, and then again it vanished. That was in 1965, and then I've never seen indigo since.
But someday I like that.
Well, 222.
I get to see that color again. We'll be right back.
Hello, this is David from Berlin. Radio Lab is supported in part by the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation enhancing public understanding of science and technology in the modern world. More information about Sloan at www.sloan.org.
Radio Lab is supported by Progressive Insurance. With Snapshot from Progressive, safe drivers get personalized rates on car insurance. More at progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE. Snapshot is not available in California or from all agents. Radio Lab is supported by Seed.com. Seed's DSO1 is a 24-strain 2-in-1 probiotic and prebiotic engineered to survive digestion, support healthy regularity, and promote whole body health. Learn more at seed.com/public.
Many thanks to Formula Roofing for its financial support. Learn more at formularoofing.com. You can learn more about the hundreds of organizations that sponsor Colorado Public Radio on the support page at cpr.org.
Airplanes don't typically land on Colorado 14ers, but in January 1967, a Cessna landed on Mount Sherman near Leadville. At the time, the FAA called it the most daring and spectacular mountaintop save in aviation history. The charter flight on its way to Aspen ran into a winter storm. Extreme downdrafts forced it into an emergency landing. The summit of Mount Sherman is always windy and so rocky that a landing is not normally possible. But that day, it was deep in snow, and the pilot brought the plane down with only minor injuries to all 5 on board, who did, however, suffer sub-zero temperatures for a day before the weather cleared and a helicopter came to the rescue. A calmer way to experience Mount Sherman is on foot, as it's one of the easiest 14ers to climb in good weather. In winter, you'll need snowshoes and an ice axe, or possibly a pilot's license.
The Colorado Postcard from CPR, supported by National Jewish Health.
Hey, I'm Jad Abumrad.
I'm Robert Krulwich.
This is Radio Lab. So we're going to continue our celebration now of Dr. Oliver Sacks, this time, though, with the help of a guy named Billy Hayes, who is a writer and a photographer.
And I was the partner of the late Oliver Sacks. And together we made tapes or recordings of conversations in the last year of his life.
And why? Why did you start these recordings?
Well, Oliver got his diagnosis of a terminal cancer in mid-January 2015. The prognosis was 6 to 18 months, and it was shattering.
Damn it.
Shortly after, Bill says they were sitting at the kitchen table, talking.
Like I knew that he had things on his mind that he wanted to write. I said, well, what are you thinking about writing? This was about 4 days after he got his diagnosis. And he paused, and then he looked at me and he said something like, a month ago, I felt that I was in good health, even robust health. At 81, I still swim a mile a day, but my luck has run out. And I said, stop right there. And I grabbed a pad and a pen, and I said, start over. And I began writing as fast as I could, as he dictated virtually the entire essay.
Just sort of spilled out like that?
Yeah, and so we had the idea of getting a little audio recorder, a digital recorder, so that it could be on hand at any time, whether to record what he wanted to write, or reminisce, or to collect stories. After his death, I put the recorder in a drawer and didn't pull it out again until over a year and a half after his death. I didn't even listen to it, any of it, to write my own memoir. I had been kind of very nervous about listening to them because I thought it would be very sad, just made me depressed and sad. But I took the recorder out of the drawer. It had sat for 18 months.
It actually made him happy.
And of course it didn't work because the batteries were dead. So I had to scramble to find batteries, and when I did, and then pushed play.
I'm going to use my car battery. I'm going to charge the battery up my car battery. Blow up my motor.
S and Billy Hayes.
I mean,
on February 6th.
it was during dinner, we were eating at the time, and he began telling me about his dreams.
Dreams. I've been having a lot of strangely archetypal dreams of a journey that I have to make.
Yeah.
Getting lost and getting found, full of surprises. Maybe going through a door, which I think will be a door to another room. It is a door to a mountain landscape. Sometimes frightening ravines or having to edge along very narrow ledges, but then finally coming to some gracious, heavenly mountain meadow, and then waking.
Is that California Park up there?
Yeah, we're coming up to there where we're going to start dropping into it here.
Yeah.
It's a journey from where to where.
This was February 6th, 2015, so about 3 weeks after
You're not going to take
Oliver
me
got
on
his
that tight,
diagnosis
scary
of
road,
a
are you?
terminal cancer.
You're not going to take me on that tight, scary
And
road, are you?
his immediate impulse was to write.
The one where you have that sticker, do you still have that same branch on? The car door?
The weed.
The weed? It's going to be there forever. It's going to live through winter.
Oliver
It's going to live
I'm
through...
wondering that too. I'm
Even
thinking, well,
louder
it's
than
going to
he
be there next year.
realized. He would whisper
I'm thinking
words
when it
to
starts
himself
icing up and getting sleet and stuff on it, it'll
as
break
he
off.
wrote them down on
I'll
I
just
don't
have
think
a
it's
little
going to
stick
break off. I
stick
think
it
you're going to have to pull it off. I think the neighbors are going to come by and go, that is just pathetic. I got
For Oliver,
into this.
writing was a form of
And the cats are going to say,
the primary activity for a human being.
No, that was down. Where was that? That was I've been there 2 or 3 times.
that was where that tree was, so I tried to pull that nail out.
Yeah.
And then come to find out the guy,
Big ass fucking flat rock that I took out.
guy put a swing set on it. That's above our house.
I thought that was down by Hamilton, you know?
In that
Yeah, it was.
riverbed?
Yeah. and then you go down. Then you go down south. You turn down and follow the river.
Hey, a planet is actually waving at us.
Patience.
Missed it.
I know for that.
I did. Camera missed it too.
I know for that.
Yeah, Oliver was the kind of guy who would take dictionaries to bed to read
Is it
with a
in
magnifying
bed?
glass.
Everything my James Dictionary will have the word for me. It need a magnifying glass, and I have one here. Aha! I also feel the missing magnifying glass. There it is. Can you see if there's a word in here for me? Oh,
Yes, there is. Tend to a better frame of mind.
No?
Be wise.
Stop. We want to stop.
be wise. Can you pull out the big
Flowers
dictionary
for
and
now.
see if you can find any examples? In particular, I want to know whether a return to health.
Now, here's a man with a huge vocabulary and love of writing, but still, every day he'd be struck by a word that he wanted to look up.
Well, it immediately says repentance for misconduct.
What did you say?
Repentance for misconduct. Recognition of errors committed. Return to a better mind or opinion.
What's the origin of the word?
To recover one's senses. Come to oneself again.
I think it's not quite good.
Xbox.
He's being old, no trespassing sign.
A little too energy. Homeostasis. It's coming back.